Well, no, that's exactly right. And so one of the pieces that I mean, it just shocked me that it jumped out at me in the book, other than the 200 push-ups, was the fact that your father quit his
Hmm.
job to be able to spend
Yeah.
more time with you. You referred to him as a full-time parent coach. So how
Yeah.
does that even
Parent.
work from just a household
Yeah.
perspective?
It's a great question. First to tell you that dad was fortunate. We were fortunate. He had started a few companies and done quite well, but certainly was in the high, the pinnacle of his career. He was, doing phenomenal. Sort of, there was so much more he could have done, and knew that. And he said, "I'm going to take a step back." And he said to me that I knew your only chance, meaning my only chance, was for him to be there before I went to school and when I got home. And I said, "Well, Dad, as we were working on this book," because he didn't tell me I had this diagnosis until I was in my 20s. We never really talked about it. But as I started interviewing him for the book, I said, "What would you have done if you couldn't have quit your job? If you couldn't have been financially secure?" And he said, "Simple." He said, "I would have worked the night shift, because I realized
Mm.
I was going to be your only friend, and the only chance you had was for me to be there with you, to put you back together every day." And by that, I mean, there was no taking away the adversity. There was no accommodations or, behavioral accommodations or academic accommodations. He said, "You're going to have to endure the bullying. You're going to have to go through the isolation and the physical bullying and the emotional heartaches." I mean, you think about it. There was a teacher. I think you know what kids do. The kids were so bad to me in fifth grade. My dad came to visit me one day, and they had put me with the girls in PE for a few months. He found that out. Imagine what that does to a father, because I was so bullied. But by seventh and eighth grade, I was in class one day. So the kids were mean to me, and the teachers were too. I had an art teacher who didn't think I was going to become Picasso. And this art teacher said in front of the entire class, you know, "If my dog was as ugly as you, Vittert, I'd shave its ass and make it walk backwards." Think about doing that to a kid. And so I'd come home. I was totally distraught, as I was every day. And my dad sort of patched me back together. What Dad didn't tell me, Jack, was that middle school is great training for a Washington newsroom. And then he would make me.
Inside joke, but that's a good one.
It's true. And then he would get me, he would put me back together, and he would make me, go to school the next day. But what I didn't know until we started working on the book and I interviewed him and my mom is that, he would leave my bedroom every night after 2 or 3 hours of me taking my frustrations and emotions out on him, that he would go downstairs late into the night and sit in the living room and cry himself, just because of the emotional toll this was all taking
Mm.
on him. And I just think it's a remarkable story also about my dad. And, it's really great and honored so many have come on the Born Lucky journey, and it's a New York Times bestseller. And I said to my dad last night when I saw him, I said, Dad, being a bestseller author is nice. I said, but you are the subject of a best-selling New York Times book, which I think is a really fitting tribute to all he did and all he sacrificed.
I mean, I can tell how much you love your dad and how important your dad is. And, my dad, look, we didn't have that kind of situation, but I mean, we've got that kind of relationship, and my dad is absolutely the person that I go to for all of it. And I remember when Charlie got shot, my dad just gave me a call, and he was just calling me like every single day. Even so, I flew out to Phoenix, but then my dad was still calling me just every day. Hey, just calling,
Yeah.
literally just that, just calling, just checking in on you, making sure you're good, boy. Sonny boy. He always calls me Sonny boy. I noticed I pulled some of the foundational parenting principles out of this though. Have no expectations about the future, right? You're not setting expectations. Never allow your child to feel they've disappointed you. You mentioned the depository of the frustrations, just listening, literally just listening before school, late into night. And then, and I love this line, by the way, the currency of high school and, middle school as well is not the currency of life. Man, we put so
That,
much pressure on
yeah.
kids right when hormones are hitting them. We do the hierarchy, we're ranking and stacking everybody. And it's like, for what? Like what, and there's that joke about people peaking in high school that exists. And it's like, none of us, go back to any of that. Guess what? You can't take it with you.